The Forbidden Encounter. The night was silent, the sky covered with strange stars that looked different from Earth. A human explorer named Daniel walked slowly through the ruins of an alien temple, his boots pressed on the dusty ground, and every step echoed like a whisper inside the giant empty halls. He felt like the walls themselves were watching him. Daniel had traveled across light years, chasing signals that no human had ever tracked before. The signals spoke of ancient power hidden in the far corners of space. Some said it was a weapon, others believed it was a gateway to another world. Daniel only knew that he could not ignore it. Curiosity burned in him stronger than fear. The air was heavy inside the alien temple. Tall stone pillars reached toward the ceiling like frozen giants. Strange glowing lines covered the walls, pulsing like veins filled with blue light. Daniel stopped for a moment and touched the wall. It felt warm, alive, as if the temple itself had a heartbeat. He pulled his hand back quickly, breathing harder. He reached the main chamber, and his eyes widened. At the center of the room stood a tall figure, her back facing him. Her long silver hair glowed faintly under the strange lights. Her armor was unlike anything Daniel had seen before. It was sharp and elegant, black metal mixed with crystal plates that shined like stars. She was not human. She was an alien princess. The stories whispered across the galaxy spoke of her people, proud and untouchable, rulers of hidden realms. And now one of them stood before him, unaware that a human had followed her into this forbidden place. Daniel froze, his breath caught in his chest. He stood behind her, not daring to make a sound. The glowing portal in front of her filled the chamber with light, swirling like liquid fire. It looked like a door to another world. The princess raised her hand slowly, and the portal grew stronger. Daniel's mind raced. He had found what he was searching for, but he had also found danger beyond imagination. One wrong move and she could destroy him. Yet something inside pushed him to stay, to watch, to understand. The alien princess spoke, her voice soft but filled with authority. She spoke in her language, words like flowing water. The sound was strange, yet beautiful. Daniel felt chills run down his spine. He could not understand her, but he knew she was calling to the portal, commanding it. The chamber trembled, the glowing symbols on the walls began to spin. Dust fell from the high ceiling. The portal roared like a storm. Daniel felt the pull, a force tugging at his body. He pressed his boots against the floor, trying to resist. His eyes locked on the princess. She did not move. She stood proud, as if she belonged to the storm itself. For a moment, Daniel thought of turning back, leaving before she noticed him, but his heart said no. He had come too far. He could not stop now. Something about her presence, something about this place, told him that his life would never be the same if he walked away. The princess tilted her head slightly. Her sharp ears twitched. She sensed something. Daniel's heart pounded. Had she heard him? Was he discovered? The silence grew heavy. Daniel held his breath. His hand slowly moved to his sidearm, but he did not want to fight. He only wanted answers. He only wanted to see what was hidden behind that glowing door. Suddenly, the portal exploded with brighter light. The force pulled harder. Daniel stumbled forward. His foot hit a loose stone, and the sound echoed in the chamber like a thunderclap. The princess turned her head sharply. Her glowing eyes met his for the first time. Her gaze was cold and sharp, but also filled with surprise. She saw him, a human, standing where no human should ever be. For a long moment, time itself felt frozen. The storm of the portal swirled around them, yet neither moved. The human and the alien princess stood face to face, their worlds colliding in silence. Daniel's lips parted, but no words came out. He had no excuse, no explanation. His presence alone was a crime in this sacred place. The princess narrowed her eyes. Her hand moved toward the blade at her side. Daniel felt the weight of death pressing on him. Yet in her expression there was not only anger, there was something else. A question, a spark of curiosity. The ground shook harder. The portal roared louder. The symbols on the walls flared like fire. The chamber could collapse at any moment. The princess turned her gaze back to the portal. Her choice was clear. The ritual was more important than him, but the look she gave before turning away told Daniel something. She would not forget the human who dared to follow her. Daniel stood still, his heart racing. He had entered a place forbidden to mankind, and now he was part of a secret that could change the galaxy. The encounter had begun, and there was no turning back. Standing behind her, Daniel's heart beat fast, louder than the storm of the portal. He stood frozen behind the alien princess. his eyes locked on her glowing figure. The light from the portal painted her armor with shifting colors, black metal mixed with bright crystal that shimmered with every movement. The princess raised her hand higher. Her long silver hair swayed as if touched by unseen winds. She spoke again in her strange language, her voice calm and powerful. Daniel did not know the words, but he could feel the weight of them, like commands spoken to the very heart of the universe. Daniel swallowed hard. He was standing only a few steps behind her. He had crossed countless stars to find this mystery, and now he was closer than ever. One wrong step could mean his death, yet one more step forward could open doors no human had ever seen. The portal's glow grew stronger, spreading across the chamber like a living sun. The symbols on the balls danced faster, spinning like constellations in motion. The air vibrated with raw energy. Daniel's body trembled, not from fear alone, but from the sheer force pressing against him. The princess tilted her head slightly. Her glowing eyes flicked back for a heartbeat. She knew he was there. Daniel's chest tightened. He expected her to strike, to call guards, to destroy him with alien power. But she did nothing. She let him stand there, as if waiting for him to make his own choice. Daniel felt sweat on his forehead. His hand rested on his sidearm. But deep down he knew fighting was useless. She was not like him. She was born of power. He was born of survival. He took a slow step forward. His boots scraped against the stone floor. The sound echoed through the chamber. The princess did not move, her back straight, her posture like a queen guarding a throne. Daniel could see her closer now. The lines of her armor glowed faintly, carved with symbols that matched the temple walls. It was as if she and the place were connected, part of one living design. Her shoulders rose and fell with steady breath, but her fingers trembled slightly. She was calm, but not without strain. The portal roared again. A wave of force pushed outward. Daniel stumbled but caught himself. His eyes stayed fixed on the princess. She did not falter. She stood against the storm like a mountain. Daniel whispered under his breath, words only for himself. "What are you doing here?" His voice was drowned by the roar, but the princess seemed to hear. Her head tilted again, a flicker of curiosity in her movements. The human and the alien stood in silence. The distance between them was small, yet it felt like a gulf of galaxies. Neither spoke, yet their presence spoke louder than words. Daniel's thoughts raced. Was she an enemy, a guardian, or something more? Was the portal a weapon, a prison, or a doorway to another truth? He had no answers, only questions, and each one burned hotter than the last. The chamber shook again. This time stones fell from above, crashing near the edges of the room. Dust filled the air. The princess lowered her hand, the portal flickering like fire struggling against wind. She turned slightly, her profile now visible to Daniel. Her face was sharp, graceful, marked by strength and beauty. Her eyes glowed like two burning moons. She looked at him, really looked at him. For a moment their eyes locked. Daniel felt his breath leave him. He had expected hatred. He had expected fury. But what he saw instead was recognition. As if she had seen him before, as if she had been waiting. Daniel took another step forward, his voice stronger now. "I don't want to fight." The princess's eyes narrowed, but her hand moved away from her blade. Her silence spoke more than her words ever could. The portal's pull grew stronger, the chamber shaking like a ship caught in storm waves. The princess turned back to it. She extended her arm, motioning slightly. Daniel did not understand the gesture. Was she warning him, or was she inviting him? His instincts told him to run, to save his life before the place collapsed, but another voice deep inside whispered to stay. This was the moment, the crossing point of fate. If he left now, the secret would vanish forever. Daniel's hand tightened into a fist. He steadied himself, and for the first time he stood beside her. The warmth of the portal washed over him. Its light wrapped around them both. Two figures from two worlds standing before the unknown. The princess glanced at him once more, her expression unreadable, a mix of challenge and acceptance. Her lips parted, and though he could not understand her language, he felt the meaning. She was saying, "Enter if you dare." Daniel nodded slightly. His fear did not vanish, but his courage grew stronger. He knew the next step would bind his life with hers. He had read her world not by chance but by fate, and so he waited, standing behind her still, closer now than ever. The chamber roared, the portal swirled like a living storm. The next breath, the next second would decide everything. Entering her world, the chamber shook like thunder rolling through the bones of a mountain. The portal burned brighter, spinning with colors no human eye had ever seen. Daniel felt the pull grow stronger, dragging him forward. His boots slid on the stone floor, his arms stretched out, trying to hold balance. The alien princess stood tall before him, her silver hair glowing like threads of light. She raised both hands toward the portal, her body trembling under the pressure. Her voice rose again in her strange language, each word cut through the storm like blades, commanding the wild energy. Daniel's breath quickened. He had never been so close to a force that felt alive. It was not a machine, not a weapon. It was something greater, something that carried the heartbeat of a world. His eyes darted to the princess. She was not afraid. She was one with the storm. Then the pull became too strong. Daniel's body lifted off the ground. His arms flailed as the portal's light wrapped around him like chains of fire. He cried out, his voice lost in the roar. The princess turned suddenly, her glowing eyes locking onto his. For the first time she reached toward him. Her armored hand caught his wrist. The heat of her grip seared through the metal, but it anchored him. For a second Daniel thought she would throw him aside, yet her grip steadied him, pulling him closer to her, closer to the storm. The portal's energy swallowed them both. The chamber blurred, the walls dissolving into rivers of light. Daniel's heart pounded. He felt himself falling and flying at the same time. Space bent, stretched, and folded around them. He wanted to scream, but no sound seemed. Aim out. Symbols like burning stars rushed past his vision, alien runes twisting and reshaping. They glowed brighter every time his eyes touched them. He realized with a shiver that they were alive, whispering to him, filling his mind with fragments of meaning. Words like trial, chosen, door drifted across his thoughts. The princess's hand still gripped him tightly, her face calm, but her eyes narrowed with effort. She was guiding them through, leading him into the heart of her hidden world. Daniel's chest tightened. He understood now. This was not only her world. The portal itself had chosen to take him here. Then, with a sudden crack of sound, the storm ended. The force released him, and he collapsed onto solid ground. His knees hit soil that was soft and glowing faintly under his touch. He gasped for air, his chest heaving. The silence after the storm was deafening. Daniel lifted his head slowly. His eyes widened at the sight. They were no longer inside the ruined temple. They stood in a vast open land beneath a sky that swirled with 2 moons and a golden sun. Strange trees with crystal leaves rose high, their branches shining like rivers of glass. The air was filled with soft hums of unseen creatures. The alien princess stood firm, her figure shining under the strange sky. Around her, the ground seemed to bend, plants leaning as if bowing. Daniel realized this place obeyed her presence. She was not only a princess here. She was something more. He pushed himself up, his breath still shaky. His eyes scanned the alien horizon. Towers of stone and light rose in the distance, each one shaped like a blade stabbing the sky. Around the base of the towers, he saw movement. Creatures unlike anything from Earth crawled and walked, their forms part flesh, part crystal, bending with light. The princess turned to him, her eyes glowing brighter in this strange world. She spoke. Her voice steady but carrying weight. Daniel could not understand her words, but her tone was clear. She was warning him. He was not welcome here. Daniel straightened. He had followed her through, risked everything, and now he stood on alien soil. The ground beneath his feet felt alive, as if testing him, whispering whether he deserved to stay. The princess raised her hand, pointing toward the towers in the distance. Her face was unreadable, but her gesture carried meaning. He was to follow or be left behind. Daniel's mind swirled with questions. What was this place? Why had the portal allowed him to enter? Why did she let him live when she could have ended him? He felt no answers, only the cold weight of mystery. He stepped closer, keeping his distance but not retreating. His voice cracked as he spoke. Why bring me here? She did not reply. Her glowing eyes met his again, and for the first time, he thought he saw something behind them. A flicker of curiosity, maybe even doubt. The ground trembled suddenly. A deep roar echoed across the alien sky. Daniel's eyes shot upward, and he saw massive shadows moving between the moons. Great winged beasts with crystal scales soared above, circling, their voices shaking the air. The princess did not flinch. She raised her arm high, and the beasts roared again. Their wings beat heavy, casting dark shadows across the glowing land. Then they bowed mid-air, circling her in slow reverence. Daniel's jaw tightened, his heart skipped. She was no ordinary ruler. She commanded the very guardians of this realm. The human swallowed hard. For the first time, he felt the full truth. He had entered not just a new world, but a world where power itself bent to her. And now, by standing behind her, by following her, he had crossed a line that could never be undone. The princess lowered her hand, turning once again to the towers, her steps light yet commanding. She began to walk forward. Each step she took left a faint glow on the ground. Daniel hesitated for only a moment, then followed. His fear no longer stronger than his need to understand. The air whispered with mystery. The land trembled with secrets. Daniel knew he had stepped into a story far bigger than himself. A human in an alien princess's world. His journey had just begun. Secrets of the hidden realm. The alien sky stretched wide above them, 2 moons glowing softly beside a golden sun. The strange light painted the land in silver and gold. Daniel followed the princess across the glowing ground. His steps felt heavy, as if the world itself was judging him. The princess walked with steady grace. Her armor glimmered with each movement. The ground beneath her feet lit faintly as she stepped, leaving trails of light that faded after she passed. Daniel noticed it and realized the land itself was alive, responding to her presence. The towers in the distance grew clearer, each one taller than any human building, carved from stone and crystal that seemed to hum with power. They pulsed like beating hearts. The closer they came, the more Daniel felt the pressure pressing against his chest. His breath came harder. It was as if the towers themselves were aware of him. Around them, alien life thrived. Tall trees with crystal leaves bent as they walked past. Their branches shivered without wind. Flowers opened and closed in rhythm with the princess's steps. Strange creatures moved through the glowing grass, some small and insect-like, others towering with shimmering skin. All bowed their heads as she passed. Daniel swallowed. He had never seen such respect shown by an entire world. The princess was not only a ruler here, she was part of the world itself. He realized the name. Princess might be too small for what she truly was. The princess stopped suddenly. Her hand rose, signaling him to wait. Daniel froze. The ground ahead trembled. A crack split open, glowing light spilling out like liquid fire. From the fissure climbed figures armored in stone and crystal. Their eyes burned like embers. Daniel's hand went to his sidearm. His heart pounded. The creatures circled, their sharp weapons raised. The princess spoke to them, her voice steady, commanding. The language was strange but powerful. The creatures lowered their heads, though their burning eyes never left Daniel. He understood at once. He was not welcome. He was a trespasser in their sacred realm. If not for her, they would have struck him down. The princess looked at him then, her eyes sharp. Her silence spoke clearly. "You are alive because I allow it." Daniel clenched his jaw. He nodded slightly. He knew his life balanced on a fragile thread. They continued walking. The creatures followed at a distance like shadows waiting for a reason to strike. The air grew colder as they neared the towers. The hum of power grew louder. Daniel felt vibrations deep in his bones. At last they reached a massive gate carved from black stone. Symbols like fire ran across its surface, shifting as if alive. The princess placed her hand on the gate, and the symbols flared. The stone parted slowly with a sound like mountains breaking. Inside was a vast hall, larger than any cathedral Daniel had ever seen. The walls were covered in glowing runes. Each rune pulsed like a heartbeat, filling the chamber with light. Daniel stepped inside, his breath catching. At the center of the hall stood a floating crystal sphere. It glowed with colors shifting like the stars. Shadows of galaxies spun inside it. He realized it was not only an object but a map, a living star chart. The princess approached the sphere. She placed her hand against it, and the stars shifted, forming images. Daniel's eyes widened as one of the stars glowed brighter than the rest. He knew that star. It was Sol, the home of Earth. His chest tightened. The map was not only of her world, it was of his too. Humanity was known here, written into the living design of the alien realm. Daniel's mind raced. Why? Why would these beings know about Earth? Why would their sacred map include his people? The princess turned her head. Her eyes locked onto him. For the first time she spoke slowly, carefully, as if trying to bridge the gap of language. Her words were soft, but the meaning reached his heart. Chosen. Daniel's breath caught. Chosen. The word echoed in his mind. He was not here by accident. The portal had not dragged him by mistake. This was planned. This was destiny. Before he could ask, the ground shook violently. The sphere pulsed red. The runes on the walls flared like fire. The princess's expression hardened. She looked to the gates. Her hand went to her blade. Daniel turned. The stone-armored guardians had entered, but they were not alone. Behind them came taller figures, cloaked in shadow, their presence heavy like a storm. Their eyes fixed on him, burning with hatred. The princess stepped forward, blocking their path. Her voice rang out, sharp and commanding. The guardians bowed to her, but the cloaked figures did not. One of them raised its weapon, pointing directly at Daniel. Daniel's heart pounded. He understood without words. They believed he was a threat. They wanted him destroyed before he could learn more. The princess drew her blade, the crystal edge shining with deadly light. She raised her other hand toward Daniel, signaling him to stay close. For the first time since entering this world, Daniel realized the truth. He was not only in her world, he was in her fight. And now survival would depend not only on his courage, but on her choice. The trial of trust. The hall of runes shook as the cloaked figures stepped forward, their shadows stretched long across the glowing floor. Daniel felt the weight of their presence pressing on his chest. His hand twitched toward his sidearm, but he froze when he saw the princess lift her blade to block their path. Her voice rang out like thunder, sharp and commanding. The stone guardians bowed lower, but the cloaked figures did not move. One of them pulled back its hood, revealing a face carved of stone and light. Its burning eyes glared at Daniel. A second figure spoke, its voice deep and cold, though Daniel could not understand the words. The sound alone carried judgment. The princess answered with fire in her tone. She pointed toward Daniel, then toward the sphere that showed soul. The council chamber echoed with her words. Daniel's pulse raced. He could not understand their language, but he could feel the meaning. They were arguing about him. The cloaked figures wanted him gone. The princess wanted him to stay. The sphere pulsed again. Its colors flickered from silver to red. The runes on the wall shifted, displaying images of stars collapsing, fleets burning, and creatures unknown. Daniel's breath caught. He realized the chamber was showing a prophecy, a vision of war yet to come. One of the cloaked figures raised its weapon, pointing at him again. The princess stepped between them, her blade raised high. The tension filled the hall like a drawn bow ready to snap. Then the leader of the cloaked ones spoke a single word that even Daniel could understand. Trial. The chamber responded at once. The floor trembled, splitting into circles that glowed with red fire. From the cracks rose tall pillars surrounding Daniel. The air grew hot, the sound of grinding stone echoing through the vast space. Daniel's heart pounded. He knew this was no test of words. It was a test of survival. The princess turned her head slightly, her glowing eyes locking with his. Her lips parted, and though the words were Ali, N, the meaning was clear. Fight. The guardians stepped back, forming a ring. The cloaked figures raised their hands, and from the red cracks came creatures of fire and shadow. Their bodies twisted like molten stone. Their eyes burned with rage. Each one carried a blade shaped from living flame. Daniel's breath caught. His sidearm felt small and useless against such monsters, but he had no choice. The world itself demanded he prove himself. The first creature roared, leaping forward. Daniel rolled to the side, the heat of its blade slicing the air where his head had been. He raised his weapon and fired. The shot cracked through the chamber, striking the creature's chest. The blast scorched its stone skin but did not stop it. The princess did not move. She stood at the edge of the circle, watching. Her blade ready, but her stance calm. This was his fight, not hers. Daniel gritted his teeth. He fired again and again, forcing the creature back. But two more leapt from the cracks, surrounding him. His heart hammered. He ducked as one swung its burning blade, rolling across the floor. His shoulder ached as he scrambled to his feet. He looked up and saw the runes glowing brighter, shifting with each move he made. They pulsed like they were recording his fight, judging him. The creatures attacked again. One came from behind, its blade slicing close. Daniel spun, grabbing a broken shard of glowing stone from the floor. He swung with all his strength. The shard struck the creature's head, cracking it open. The flame inside burst and the monster collapsed into ash. The guardians watching rumbled softly, their heads tilted slightly as if surprised. Daniel's chest heaved, sweat dripping down his face. The other two monsters circled faster now, their flames brighter. He fired again, hitting one in the leg. It staggered, and Daniel charged, smashing his shard into its chest. The creature screamed before, vanishing in fire. The last monster roared, twice the size of the others. Its blade burned white hot. Daniel raised his weapon, but the gun clicked empty. His heart sank. He had nothing left but the shard in his hand. The beast charged. Daniel braced himself. He ducked under the swing, the heat burning across his back. He leapt forward, driving the shard deep into its chest. For a moment nothing happened. Then the shard pulsed with light, exploding inside the creature. The monster fell, crashing against the stone. The hall trembled and silence returned. Daniel stood, chest heaving, his clothes burned and torn. He dropped the shard, his hands shaking. Around him the runes glowed bright gold. The sphere above pulsed with light, showing soul once more. The meaning was clear. He had passed. The cloaked figures lowered their weapons, though their eyes still burned with anger. The princess stepped forward, standing beside him. She raised her blade high, then pointed it at the council. Her voice cut through the silence. Her words carried authority. The guardians bowed. The cloaked figures pulled back, but their hatred did not fade. Daniel understood one thing. He had won the trial, but not their trust, only hers. The princess looked at him again, her glowing eyes softer now. For the first time she spoke a single word he understood without translation. Stay. Daniel's breath caught. His fate was sealed. He was no longer just a trespasser. He was part of their world, the battle of proving. The trial was over, but the silence in the great hall did not last. The runes dimmed from gold to red, flickering like fire, struggling to stay alive. The cloaked figures stepped forward again, their voices rising, sharp and angry. Daniel could not understand their words, but he knew what they meant. They were not satisfied. The princess stood firm at his side, her blade still glowing. She argued with the cloaked ones, her voice strong, commanding, but Daniel saw the way their burning eyes locked on him. They did not trust him. They wanted more. They wanted proof that his survival was not luck. One of the cloaked leaders raised its hand, and the floor shook. The hall's walls shifted, opening to reveal another chamber beyond. Bright light spilled through, and Daniel heard the clash of metal, the sound of warriors training. The princess's gaze turned hard. She looked at Daniel and spoke one word that he now recognized, proving. Daniel's heart sank. He had survived the trial of beasts, but now he would face living warriors, skilled fighters who had trained their whole lives. His body ached. His weapon was empty, his hands raw from gripping stone shards. Yet he knew there was no escape. The guardians led them into the chamber. It was a massive arena, its floor marked with glowing lines that shifted as they walked. Around the edges, alien council members gathered, their eyes burning with judgment. Warriors stepped forward, their bodies tall and armored with crystal plates. Their weapons gleamed like lightning forged into steel. Daniel swallowed. He felt small among them. His armor was nothing but scorched fabric and human steel. But he clenched his fists. He would not bend. He would not kneel. The first warrior advanced, its blade shining. Daniel raised his arms, moving into a stance. The warrior struck fast, faster than Daniel expected. The blade cut the air close to his chest. He rolled to the side, grabbing a loose spear left by another fighter. Its weight was heavy, but it felt alive in his hands. The warrior came again. Daniel blocked, sparks flying. The force nearly broke his arms. His knees buckled, but he pushed back, twisting the spear, driving the warrior off balance. The alien stumbled, and Daniel lunged, smashing the butt of the spear against its chest. The crowd rumbled with surprise. The warrior roared and charged again. Daniel braced himself, but before the strike could land, another warrior entered the fight, 2 against 1. Daniel's heart pounded harder. Sweat poured down his face. He had no choice but to fight like a cornered animal. He ducked, blocked, and struck wherever he could. His body screamed in pain. His muscles burned, but he refused to fall. The crowd watched, silent. Every move, every strike, every breath was judged. One warrior swung low. Daniel leapt over the strike, driving his spear into the other's shoulder. The alien staggered, its blade dropping. The princess's eyes widened slightly. For the first time, Daniel saw pride in her gaze, but the fight was not over. The second warrior roared, striking with fury. Daniel blocked barely in time. His spear cracked under the pressure, splinters flew. His chest heaved as he rolled across the glowing floor, picking up a fallen blade. The weapon pulsed with strange light, its edge alive with power. Daniel gripped it tight. The warrior charged, and Daniel met it head-on. Their blades clashed, the sound echoing through the arena like thunder. Daniel pushed forward with every ounce of strength. The warrior's eyes widened, then it fell back, defeated. The chamber trembled with silence. Daniel stood bleeding, his clothes torn, but the blade still in his hand. He turned slowly, facing the crowd. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. He did not speak. He only raised the weapon high, showing he was not broken. The guardians bowed slightly, their stone bodies rumbling. The cloaked figures hissed in anger, but the sound was drowned by a deeper roar. The remaining warriors, instead of attacking, struck their blades against the ground. Sparks flew. The sound echoed like drum. It was respect. Daniel's heart pounded. He realized they were not only testing him, they were watching to see if he could stand as one of them, and now some of them believed he could. But the moment of respect did not last long. The chamber shook violently. The sphere in the hall beyond flared with red light. A deep roar echoed from outside the towers. The ground cracked and dust rained from above. The princess's face turned grim. She sheathed her blade and shouted to the warriors. Her voice cut through the chaos like fire. Daniel could not understand her words, but he knew the meaning. The threat was not finished. The real enemy had arrived. The council chamber burned with tension. Some still looked at him with hate, others with doubt. But the warriors who had fought him now stared with something new in their eyes. They saw not just a human, but a fighter who had stood against them and did not fall. The princess stepped closer. Her glowing eyes met his, her voice softer now, but sharp with warning. Stay close. Daniel gripped the alien blade tighter, his body broken, but his spirit burning. He had proven himself once. He had survived again. But he knew the true proving was only beginning. The princess's choice. The arena shook as the roar outside grew louder. Dust fell from the high walls. The warriors lifted their blades, their eyes sharp with battle fire. Daniel stood in the middle, his chest heaving, his hands tight on the alien blade that still pulsed with light. The princess raised her hand, and the warriors froze. The hall fell silent, only the rumble of the earth echoing through. She turned slowly, her silver hair glowing under the red light of the runes. Her eyes locked on Daniel. The council stepped forward, their cloaked figures tall and heavy like shadows of mountains. They pointed toward him, their voices rising in anger. Daniel could not understand their words, but the meaning was clear. They demanded his death. They saw him as a danger. The warriors who had fought him stood silent, their faces unreadable, yet their blades still rested on the floor. They had seen him bleed. They had seen him rise again. Some of them now hesitated. The princess's gaze moved between them all. Her people demanded judgment. The guardians demanded obedience. The council demanded blood. But her eyes returned to Daniel, who stood broken yet unbent. Daniel's breath came heavy. His voice cracked, but he spoke. I didn't come to destroy. His words echoed weakly, swallowed by the vast chamber. He lowered the alien blade slightly, showing he would not raise it against them. The princess stepped closer. Her armor shimmered like living light. She stopped just before him. Her eyes searched his face, her silence heavy with choice. Then she turned toward the council, her blade lifted high. Her voice rang out, louder than thunder, sharper than steel. The chamber shook with her words. Daniel could not understand, but he felt the weight. She was defending him. She was declaring her choice. The cloaked leaders hissed in fury, their shadows twisting. But the runes on the walls glowed bright gold. The sphere above pulsed with light, showing soul once more. This time, the image of Earth burned brighter than all the stars. The guardians bowed. Their stone bodies rumbled like mountains moving. The warriors struck their blades against the floor in rhythm. Sparks flew. The sound was not anger. It was acceptance. The princess lowered her blade. She turned to Daniel. Her eyes softened, and for the first time her voice spoke a word that needed no translation. Together. Daniel's heart pounded. His throat tightened. He nodded slowly. He understood. Her choice was not only to spare him, it was to bind his fate with hers. The council shouted in fury. Their cloaks swirled, but the runes flared brighter, cutting their shadows short. The world itself seemed to side with her. Daniel realized the portal had not chosen him by accident. It had chosen him because of her, and chosen her because of him. The roar outside grew closer. The ground cracked as massive beasts stormed into view through the shattered gates, their wings spread wide, their crystal scales glowing with fire. They were not bowing this time. They came as enemies. The princess raised her blade, the warriors rallied. Daniel tightened his grip on the alien weapon. His body screamed with pain, but his spirit blazed with fire. The princess glanced at him one last time. Her eyes burned like stars. Her words cut through the chaos. "Fight with me." Daniel stepped forward, standing at her side. The warriors followed her lead. The guardians moved like walls of stone. The council screamed, but their power was drowned by the roar of the beasts. The final battle began. Blades clashed, wings thundered, fire and crystal filled the air. Daniel fought with every breath left in him. Each strike, each movement, each choice tied him deeper to this world. And through it all, the princess never left his side. Her blade cut like light. His courage burned like flame. Together they stood, a human and an alien princess. Not enemies, not strangers, but chosen by fate. When the last beast fell, silence returned. The chamber glowed gold once more. The sphere above showed two stars side by side. Saul and her world, united in the map of destiny. The council fell quiet. They could not deny what they had seen. The princess had made her choice, and the world itself had sealed it. She lowered her blade. "Say," he looked at Daniel, and her voice whispered soft but clear, "You are one of us now." Daniel stood tall, exhausted, broken but alive. He had entered her world as a trespasser. He remained in it as something far more. The princess's choice had changed everything, and the galaxy would never be the same.